Hi and welcome everyone to the book launch of Lucy 3, which is organized by Locksley Hall Publishing and the Book Bakers. Before I introduce you to the guest of honor, let us all welcome our panelists for today. First on the list is someone who's a poet, artist, and a senior English faculty member. She is Ruma Chakraborthy. Welcome, ma'am. Next on the list is someone who's a poet, psychologist, and a psychotherapist. She is Dr. Chavi Sharam. Also, we have someone who's a doctor by profession and one of my favorite authors from the horror genre. He is Dr. Siddharth Nirwan. Then we have an author who has written an amazing book called Tomb of God. He is Victor Ghoshe. And now, let us all welcome the guest of honor, Anandajit Goswami, the author of Lucy 3. Welcome everyone to the book launch and congratulations to Anandajit.
Thank you so much.
Yes, so the first question to Anandajit is if you can tell us about your book and your journey in writing this.
Well, Lucy, as the acronym suggests, it's love, understanding, creativity, and youth. So the journey of the book started long time back. I think if I take it this way, so at the age of 9 or 10, I started to do scribbling, a lot of scribbling on the diary pages. And most of the scribbling I had to then throw in the garbages because they were so they were pieces of trash according to my mother. So she will read them and throw them and will say that it's nonsense. Whatever you have written, it's a piece of trash. So I think those ideas and those inspiration in a way to write more and more created also kind of a restlessness within me, and that restlessness needed a space through the journey of my own academic career, scholarship career, and the policy analysis work that I was doing. So somewhere I needed a space for whatever I was observing. Because Lucy gave me that space, and it was naturally born. I don't think I planned it a lot, because generally whatever I do, write or compose or create, I don't plan the creation. Rather, my creation is more spontaneous and contextually born, and I allow myself to get into that form of experiential writing. So Lucy is essentially an outcome of that experiential writing journey, and it has taken a lot of time. If you ask me of drafting the book, yes, I started to draft the book from 2008, the first one, the Lucy one, which is Tryst with Sustainability, the first one. This is the third one in the series. So finally, from 2008, I was knocking many doors, I was getting rejected, and you face lots of criticisms, you take them all along with you. I think, yes, you sailed the boat and finally you landed up over here. One thing that has happened in this entire process that I've realized is that when I initially started to write, I also write academic papers. I used to write in newspapers. So at some point down the line, I used to write for Economic Times, Hindu Business Line also. That was when I was 25, 26. Now that point of a time, there is an urge in you that you want to see your name. So when you are 25, 26, 27, that name when you see on a printed paper or anywhere, that gives you a kick. It's a kind of a seduction. But when Lucy happened, I think by that time I am more in a silhouette now. Really, a name or my name on a book doesn't matter to me anymore. I think so. Lucy 3 has happened in a stage of my life where I'm actually searching something which I don't know, and that's where there is a lot of abstraction, as you will see even in the journey of Lucy 3. And so this is the journey. I think I will leave it for other guest faculties and guest colleagues and guest of honors who are here. They're equally brilliant people. They should talk more. Thank you so much.
Yes, that was wonderful journey as well. And yes, people are liking your book. So let's go to Dr. Chavi. Ma'am, are you available? Can you hear us?
Sorry, my network. I can hear you.
Yes, no worries. So the question for you is, from a reader's point of view, what's your favorite part of the book? And how did you like the overall science fiction concept?
Also, sorry, my network. I can hear you.
Also, if anyone has put their Facebook live, you can close that and you can just be on Zoom.
Okay. I missed, actually your voice was breaking. So
Yes, I'll repeat the question. From a reader's point of view, what's your favorite part of the book and how did you like the overall science fiction concept?
For me, I found it very interesting, and if I have to just analyze, it was Anandajit speaking through, and many things that we just see, we don't express, but even though you talk of a dystopian society, you believe in utopian resolutions. And of course, there are so many things. Each story is a story, but it is also the story of the person, of the writers writing it. And of course, my favorite part of the book is when, you want me to read it, or is it just...
No problem. You can go on.
Okay, I'll just say that my favorite part was, of course, towards the end when they decide, okay, the Lucy, really, what does Lucy mean? Because I'm a die-hard optimist. So I love that name, and I think, and of course, it has love, understanding, creativity, and youthfulness. Which youthfulness, of course, I was wondering, and I would want somebody to ask why only youthfulness, but then one realizes that that's the only stage of idealism. Otherwise, once you grow up, so it's a very beautiful, that name itself just bound me to the book.
That's nice. So let's go to Ruma ma'am. If you can let us know what is the reason this book appealed to you and what's the most interesting part for you as a reader?
Sometimes you read books that really spoil you with like a number of choices they give you in order to like. There might be a single leitmotif in certain books which captures your imagination for the whole of the book. Then there are books that jostle for your attention because there are so many things in that book that really appeal to you. Where do I start? Anandajit has incorporated a whole lot of very iconic children's characters in his book. There's a reference to Alice, there's a reference to Harry Potter, there's a reference to Roald Dahl's BFG. Something that I think we all grew up reading and we all love. With that, he combines the character of Lucy, a very pure child, and literally the hope of mankind, because the child is the father of man. And then he takes us through his journey of finding a solution to the present situations that face us, which is very real, and as ma'am has said very correctly, extremely dystopic, towards a utopic resolution through the eyes of this lovely child, and who takes us in that journey of self-discovery. And I think to choose the genre of the science fiction in order to, house this entire thing. The fact that, science fiction is something that either has people who love it or who hate it. There are no, neutrals to the genre of science fiction. I personally believe that you either like the genre or you don't. I personally like it very much. And I've always looked upon it as a whistleblower to mankind's, unriddled progress. And with unriddled progress comes unruliness. So I think in that entire, the entire, the journey of the science fiction down the ages as a whistleblower for mankind, and how mankind can sometimes really go off the track with its unriddled power. Anandajit's book, Lucy, features very prominently there in the modern age, because he is actually blowing the whistle on our lack of understanding that we are standing at the precipice, and if we don't actually get down to making sustainability sustainable, there is going to be no earth. So these very serious thoughts, couched in this very beautiful novel, seen through the eyes of a child. What's not to like? What's not to like? I found it an irresistible combination. I'm looking forward to your next book, Anandajit.
That's nice. Anandajit, if you can share your views on what's your next book. Is it similar to this or is it something completely different?
Well, the next book which Suhail and I'm working together. It's a very different topic. It's
Okay.
essentially this book I have started writing almost 2-3 years back, and I've just as of now written 13 chapters.
Oh,
But the way the vision of the book is going, I think I will land up at 84 chapters as of now. That's so it will be a kind of a period drama from I won't disclose a lot, from 1907 to 2012, a journey of a person. And the context of the book will deal with identity, culture, violence, and conflict. So that's it. Around the journey of this man, issues of what is an identity, what is a conflict, what was independence, what was partition, what is 70s emergency, what was 84 riot. Anyways, so that is something I'm writing, but I don't push myself towards completing a manuscript, and that's where somewhere people who work with me also get a little tired. I try to extract as much as I can out of that journey. So I'm building it up slowly. It might be completed in 6 months, or it might take 2 years or 3 years. Let's see.
Quite interesting. Let's go back to the topic, what we are talking about, Lucy. So let's go to Victor. Victor, as an author yourself, what do you like in Anandajit's work, especially the Lucy series?
Right. Thank you, Desmond. That's a nice question to actually talk about, because I have known Anandajit for quite some time. We have attended shows together, and I have read his works. I have known all the 3 Lucy novels I have read, and so to start with, what I have noted in Anandajit's work, especially Lucy series, that he challenges his readers, to think differently. Every time, of course, what we have learned from both our ma'ams who talked prior to me, it's dystopian, of course, and he constantly challenges his readers to think differently about several things, about issues, about today's issues, which are social, which are political, which are geopolitical, which are technological issues. And he somehow creates that dystopian world, and he pushes today's issues to near future and exaggerate them and tell us how they might be many-folded, how we can come across those issues which are possibly very small issues, trivial, which might seem to be trivial today. They can be huge tomorrow, and they can attack us. So Anandajit has created a very different way to push these issues to near future scenario, where in a dystopian world, and showcase that what it can be, in near future. And that's how he challenges us. Know those issues, know the situations, how it can be. And by doing that, somehow what I personally felt after reading all the 3 of Lucy work, he somehow inspires action. This is a very interesting coinage I think I have coined for Anandajit's work, that he inspires action through Lucy's, the way Lucy solves problems, the way Lucy approaches the problems, and finally, finds a solution. By telling that story, he is actually inspiring all of us, mostly the young adults, today's youth, which is again, a kind of a target group that he is very specifically keeps on mentioning in his work. So he is somehow trying to do that, which as an author, I can possibly read in between lines what he writes, and I believe he is inspiring action. So I like the way he uses themes like survival, like environmental disaster, technology control, as I mentioned. And I really love the way he uses Lucy to go through the entire problem and finally find out a solution. That's where I really think, his works are, they have an universal approach and appeal as well. So yeah, my take on his work would be that he challenges, at the same time he provides solution, a multiple solution through Lucy's adventure.
That's nice. That's nice. So now this is one of my favorite parts where I will ask Siddharth to read something from the book. But before reading, offline, before we going live, Siddharth said that if Siddharth will be reading, then Anandajit will be singing as well. So we will wait for Anandajit to sing at the end of the book launch. So now Siddharth can read something from his book.
That will be fantastic.
Absolutely. So that was the deal. So if
Yes.
I'm reading Anandajit's book, Anandajit has to sing a song for me, and I'll also put the demand for the specific song if Anandajit can go ahead with it. And before just reading, I just wanted to add into what Victor has said, that Anandajit's book actually, they give a very strong message. I mean, he puts his opinions very strongly into the story, and that is also, I think, a very vital aspect when you're writing a story. I think his first book which I read was Pink Gender. It was written by you, Anandajit. So yeah, so that also was like full of a very strong social message where he covered these things. And now very quickly I'll just go and read, and I'll be reading from page number 36. Its chapter is Coping Up. Okay, am I audible, Desmond?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Coping Up. October 7, 2016. She opened her eyes and listened to the soft humming of the wall clock. It was 8 a.m. The first thought on Lucy's mind after getting up was, "Oh, I'm late for school again." Then she remembered how anxious her mom was yesterday night. After repeatedly checking her pressure and temperature, she finally announced that there is no need for her to go to school the next morning. No harm in missing school for an odd day. She closed the matter on face of Lucy's feeble protests with an air of finality. Then she gave Lucy a mild, nerve-soothing sedative, switched off the lights and closed the door. "So I'm going to skip school on October 7, 2016. An odd day indeed," thought Lucy. She also remembered that her mother, Mrs. Jenny Dang, would go for a writer's workshop quite early in the morning. So she was all alone at home now. After having her breakfast, Lucy took a book from her shelf and sat in the terrace, her favorite spot for brain work. Today, she picked up The Sleeper Awakes. What am I going to witness if I go to sleep today and get up 100 years later? Will the AIs come at that time? However, she could not read the book for long. Her mind was getting diverted to the events of yesterday. She started contemplating the series of events witnessed by her during the trance. First time when I had my forward to future moment in June 2015, it was a day's dream for me. Yesterday, the timeline of the dream in future was full 6 months, as if I was to stay in the future forever. She muttered aloud and dwelled into deep thought. After a few moments, in an absent-minded manner, Lucy looked at a grasshopper and continued, "You see, I have deciphered a pattern. The first time, a balloon seller, an unknown person, gave me an ice cream soda potion that allowed me to cerebrally travel to the future. It could possibly have been a coincidence, a hallucination resulting from consuming adulterated drunk. But this time, I got into a similar experience after drinking a seemingly harmless fruit juice in Uncle Peter's house. And my mother was there. These fellows, Uncle Peter and Aunt Maria, have been our family friends for the last so many years. Surely they will not collude with someone to load me with adulterated drinks. It does not make any sense at all." And yet, Lucy felt there was some connection between the two events. The balloon seller was there in both her dreams. They met and conversed in a train compartment on both occasions. A train that moved forward. Time that moved forward and waited for none. That's it.
That's nice. Quite interesting, and at a very fast pace as well. So Anandajit, if you can tell us what inspired you to write the Lucy series, and the next question after this is, do you feel your book has the potential to be made into a movie? Because if it is being made into a movie, I'm there for audition. So You can keep my name as well.
Me too.
You're on mute, sir. Yes, you can. Yeah.
Yeah. So inspiration, I think. Look, I do observe everything around me. I think, and generally, I have always, during my school days and college days, universities, I was always very silent. As I was telling offline before coming that maybe I used to only speak when I used to sing and compose, or when I used to paint, And so whatever I observe, I like observing people, I like observing everything. I like to observe every little details, every little expression, every little thing on road. That I think is life for me. So you can say that anything what I have seen, anything on the TV, anything that happens, I observe, and yes, all of them have inspired. I will not say any one thing as an inspiration, because if you can, the entire Lucy series, the 3 books have different layers to it. So there is a lot of philosophy into it, and again, I'm grateful for to my mom for whatever little I could learn from her. Then there are journeys on political relations, international relations, which are very prominent in the second book of Lucy. They're very subtly mentioned in the third book. First book also has some mention of technology. So this is more or less whatever I have been reading every day from different disciplines. Yes, and as Victor said, that I challenge myself every day. So I don't like to restrict into one. So for instance, when I met you first, Desmond, over the phone, we had a chat. I went through all your work. I was curious to see how you are conducting as a podcaster. Can I learn something from your work? So I think even that has become, some ideas have come even from that. So Lucy, primarily, then I have given it a thematic: love, understanding, creativity, youth. I think that is more of a sales communication, if I try to use a more simple word. But I did not limit myself to one source of inspiration. There are many characters. Ruma was mentioning about characters of our childhood. I mean, these balloon sellers, these uncle, these potion sellers, I have observed them. I mean, I can exactly tell you which balloon seller, how I had put a balloon seller in the New York Central Park context, why Central Park, what I was imagining when I was. So all these are observations, finally, in the journey of last 41 years. Wow. I think my observation is not last 41 years. I could observe well from the age of 10, so 31 years, I think. I think till the age of, and I think I have always been into a conflictual journey. The challenge is actually within me, because in my observational world, it's more of an utopian and a dystopian world. And then there's a real world outside me, which also I'm observing. So there's constantly a trance in which I'm stuck. And that's it. I think Lucy in a way is the imagery of that. And when I say imagery, obviously I see visually. Whenever I write a book, for me the book comes first in a Bengali language as visual images. So I first draw the imagery scene by scene on my sketchbook, on my diary. I do that. Now, essentially therefore, many times what happens is my writing is a screenplay at the same time. So there are visual imageries. Even in Lucy 3, if you see, it's very visually, there are many areas which are very visually written. They're also there in Lucy 2, as if there's a scene which is coming as in a web series. Because, and I don't restrict myself very much to the grammar of a novel writing or a fiction writing. I don't like doing that, because I like to actually break the boundaries and doors within even a sense of discipline. So I love that, being a disciplinarian. But being a disciplinarian is that the kick that you get, or the seduction that you get of breaking. I mean, it's like school days mein pehli baar, first time when you did something nonsensical, by being within the same set boundaries of the discipline of the school. So I think the book also does that challenging journey for both myself and the reader. And yes, there is a potential of a film. I strongly believe, and Suhail and the Bookbakers did a fantastic job with the trailer. And the trailer that Suhail and his team made, I mean, that clearly shows that the book can easily be made to a film.
Yes.
So kudos to his teamwork and his team also. Yeah.
Thanks to Sohail Mathur from Bookbakers. And if any director, filmmaker is watching, please make this book into a series, and I'm always available for acting. So, and also Siddharth Nirwan. So let's go to the last segment, which is the rapid fire. The question is to Dr. Chavi. If you can describe the book in one word.
Parabola.
Sorry, ma'am, we could not hear you.
Oh, okay. So I would say parabola.
That's nice. Let's go to Ruma, ma'am. How did you like his writing style, Anandajit's writing style overall?
See, teachers, and particularly teachers in English, are insufferable creatures. I should know, I'm one. So therefore, Anandajit is laughing because he's also a teacher of some sort, of course, for higher education and for bigger or maybe adult children. Adult children, that's an oxymoron. But yes, I teach younger children, and I can tell you that high school children or high school girls and boys can really take a lot out of you. However, when I said that teachers can be horrifying creatures when it comes to proofreading, remember, by nature, our eyes are tuned to searching for errors. We make excellent proofreaders and excellent editors. When we can't do it ourselves, we might as well find flaws in somebody else's. That's the funda behind it. However, I would like to say this, that, when you read the book, as he said very correctly, within the parameters of a written novel lies the germs of or the germination, waiting to germinate, seeds of a screenplay. When something is unfolding before your eyes almost in a visual, sort of a visual manner, you don't really insist on finding flaws with the language. Also, I would say it makes for very easy reading. It flows. There's certain fluidity about the manner in which he writes. Words sort of gel with the next ones and they flow. There's nothing forced. There are no jerks. There is nothing that seems to be put on. It seamlessly moves, almost as his mother's Robin flows beautifully and mellifluously from her voice. So therefore, this is a book that lends itself to a certain manner of quick telling and extremely fluid in its flow. I loved it because I read it at one go, and I had told Anandajit when I had the fortune and privilege of talking to him online that, to find time to read a novel, even this thin, at one go, by teachers in the times of virtual classes, is kind of an impossible task. But he managed to keep me riveted enough for me to have read it at one go. Kudos, Anandajit. What more can I say?
Yes, that was lovely. So now this next question is to everyone. I would just like everyone to answer this. We'll start with Victor. So the question is, what are your thoughts on science fiction books in India, since there are limited books related to this genre? And do you feel Anandajit did a good job?
Yeah, thanks, Desmond. It's a very interesting question, actually. I would say I have been very keenly observing the way, actually we were discussing, you and me, just before the program started today. We were discussing about our Indian authors and the work that we've been doing and producing over the last several years. But I believe we were focusing on the last 5-6 years when actually, the real volume has started coming up. I believe that's the last 6 odd years that we have started really producing huge amount of work. And of course, so that was the initial, I would say, barrier. We broke that. As Indian authors, we have broken that. We have came out of our kitchens, we have came out of our office spaces, we have came out of our every odd thing, jobs and career things we do, and we started writing. So that was the first barrier. Now, talking about the quality that we've been producing, I personally have seen in the last 1.5 years that quality has been much better. Maybe because of the COVID pandemic, maybe because of the lockdowns, people getting inside homes, and of course, as you know that most of us authors, we love that cozy corner. We love to just sit idle, think for hours, and maybe this time has given us that opportunity to really pick up that cozy corner and think, and then jot down our thoughts. So last 1.5 year, 2 year, we have been really produced great amount of work and good quality of work, I would say. Talking about this genre, the sci-fi genre, as we've grown up on Asimov and Bradbury and several of those brilliant authors who has constantly been giving unthinkable content and topic. I think that way we are much behind. Of course, we are slowly reaching to a quality stage, and now comes Anandajit's work, where he has already come up with 3 of his Lucys. So talking about his work, as I've already said, that he has been doing a great job as far as our society is concerned. He is bringing up those issues in front. He is challenging our readers. He is trying to, I would use 2 words. He is also in his, this is a new thing which I have not mentioned in my, earlier talk. He is somehow warning and constantly warning all of us about the issues in the future. The way they can be really huge, the way they can attack us, and the way, these issues can be disastrous. So he's been constantly, warning us through his all of his work. So that's where I believe his work is commendable. His work is, simply communicating serious thoughts and demystifying a lot of topics and thematic themes which are really, really tough for commoners to understand. So I believe, that's the significance of his work, that he's constantly doing, he's taking this responsibility and delivering constantly. That's the significance.
That's nice. That's nice. Let's go to Dr. Siddharth. If you can share your views on this.
Yeah. So first of all, I'll answer the latter part of the question, that did he do a good job? Yeah. So he did a fantastic job, first of all. And actually, I was waiting for this kind of a story to come one day. Because see, I have grown up on a steady diet of sci-fi films. Now I am a horror buff. I also like the science fiction very much since the childhood. Like I'm a huge fan of Steven Spielberg, the E.T. movie, or even the Jurassic Parks. They are science fiction movies, or James Cameron films. And the first author that I actually read ever was Michael Crichton. And Michael Crichton's, all of his novels are fantastic. Let it be Timeline, Prey, Next, and even the Jurassic Park, on which Steven Spielberg film have been made. So if we talk about science fiction, it has been a largely untapped genre. I think if my knowledge is right, at least in the Indian English, I don't know about regional languages, but in the Indian English, the normal novels that we read, I don't think that before Anandajit anybody has written, or maybe he has written. I mean, it's not has been written on a very large scale. So the science fiction literature, I think, is just started, and Anandajit is leading the revolution with his 3rd book now. And I was when I was reading this book, I was remembering one Hollywood film that I saw with my kid 2-3 years ago. The film was Alita, Battle Angel. So I think Lucy is India's answer to Alita, the Battle Angel, and all those films out there like AI or whatever. So I think this is something that many authors, aspiring authors, should take it forward from here. And there should be a lot of science fiction novels because as Victor already told, there is no dearth of quality, I think, in Indian authors. I think only if a lot of platforms are provided by good publishing houses, definitely it is just a start and it will go a huge way from here. And I just want to congratulate again Anandjit for producing this wonderful book. To be very honest, I had not read Lucy 1 and 2, but after reading Lucy 3, I'll be going back and reading them. And I'll be waiting for Lucy 4 and 5 and 6 and 7.
That's nice. That's nice. Let's go to Dr. Chavi.
Yeah, Anandjit, I think I'm looking forward to Lucy 4, like Siddharth just said. And he's already said that, okay, this is a new genre. And coming back to your question, let me be very, very specific that it's a new, I haven't read very many Indian authors writing on this, some short stories. I think I remember, I don't know, Anandjit, you can always correct me. I think Satyajit Ray has written 1 or 2 stories on this. Otherwise, I have not read any full novels, and Lucy 1, Lucy 2, and Lucy 3. So I think it's a new beginning, and it is like I said, the parabola, it is endless possibilities, and I think he's made that, it represents those endless possibilities. And I hope the movie is made in such a way that we at least match up to it in some ways.
Yes. Now, Ruma ma'am, can you say something? Can you give your point of view as well?
Talking earlier with Anandajit, I had found out that he is very deeply ensconced in the culture of his land. And he did say that whatever ideas come to his mind come to him in the vernacular. He's a Bengali gentleman. Yes. And Bengal and Bengali culture is very deeply steeped in him. And I'd like all of you to know that Bengal and Bengali literature is replete with outstanding science fiction novels. We have a culture of science fiction novels. But when you have a culture of science fiction novel, to write something that has ages of fabulous works before you can be somewhat daunting. Because, we all know that comparisons are odious and comparisons are sometimes unavoidable. Everything is, everything finds its real meaning in comparison to something else. And yet, undauntingly, he writes Lucy 1, 2, and 3. A trilogy of science fiction novels in a land which does have quite a tradition of wonderful science fiction novels. As Dr. Chavi just said, that Satyajit Ray immediately springs to mind because he is a modern. However, we've had people earlier writing wonderful science fiction novels as well. And then what Anandajit does is he takes his books and through his books picks himself up and solidly plants himself on that map. That's quite a tough book going. Yet he manages it. He's pulled it off. Like Harry Houdini, he's just Houdini'd himself into that very, eclectic mix of amazing writers who before him have dabbled in that art. It's no mean feat. I feel it's no mean feat at all. So Anandajit, you can look a little happier, I suppose. Do take a bow. Yes, you can look a little happier.
I actually feel sometimes very shy because having studied the vernacular genre of science fiction, I feel that all the Indian states, if you study from 1829, they have such a rich literature of science fiction.
Science fiction.
It is that it somewhere evaporated from the mass popular culture. And maybe someday we should have a discussion only on that, the history of science fiction in Indian vernacular. And trust me, I really feel that I am in front of a temple which has... So I don't deserve so much of credit. That's why I'm just looking so nonchalant and indifferent. Because I know, but at the same time, I'm happy that you have loved it.
You should keep smiling because everyone is loving it and our panelist as well. So the last question is to Anandajit. If you can tell us one thing to our listeners, why they would like to pick this book up and read.
Because this book has the person in it. It's about love, understanding, creativity, and youthfulness or youth. So each individual, I think even a dog can pick it up and read. Because I never wrote a book only in the sense of that a person will read if an alien comes tomorrow, I was imagining picks this up. What will be the language? Will it be a visual language? So, see, English is just a communication medium. As I always say everywhere, Ruma was also mentioning that my imagination is very vernacular. And I imagine from the perspective of the land. So say the aliens come on the land of Earth. So how do I imagine that other space where satellite was or wherever the extra galactic forces are? So when I was writing, I was imagining those land also. I had drawn there first. Wow. And okay, then so that space is important. It's that the space that you create in the mind of the reader, which Victor was mentioning. So that space can be a space of challenge. That space, everyone has to identify with that universalization of the visual imagery. Everyone's language can be different, but where is that commonality? Where is the commonality of a sense of freedom, or commonality of the freedom of thinking or of feeling, or some commonality? And I think somewhere I have just tried to touch that commonality, and that's what this book will do. And so everyone should pick up that book and read.
For sure. Everyone is going to enjoy this book. So before we go, I would just like to thank once again to Locksley Hall and the book baker Sohail Mathur for organizing this event. And now it's the time for the final moment where we will be revealing the book. So Anandajit, and if anyone else has the book, they can reveal the book. I'll just take a screenshot. Give me a minute. 3, 2, 1. Yes. Thank you so much. And I haven't forgotten, Anandajit has to sing right now before we end. We're all waiting. Any request, and you can please tell him.
Okay, just give me a few seconds. Let me get my guitar. It's just
sure.
My left.
No worries.
Yeah, no problem. Please.
Just give me.
Meanwhile, anyone else would like to sing?
Desmond.
Anyone else? No, not me. So any request for him?
I already made a request, but he can sing whatever he likes.
Yeah, it's his day after all.
Yes.
Let us allow him to sing his own selection.
You're on mute. Yes.
Okay. Can you all hear the sound of the guitar?
Yes.
Ajay, Siddharth requested me to sing the Dar song, Tu Mere Samne. I think he loved that song, so I will sing that. Tu mere samne, मैं तेरे सामने, तुझको देखूं के प्यार करूं. तू मेरे सामने, मैं तेरे सामने, तुझको देखूं के प्यार करूं. ये कैसे हो गया, तू मेरी हो गई, कैसे मैं एतबार करूं. तू मेरे सामने, मैं तेरे सामने, तुझको देखूं के प्यार करूं. टूट के जिद से मजबूर हो गई. तेरा जादू चल गया, जादूगर. टूट के मैं चूर हो गई. तेरी जिद से मजबूर हो गई तू मेरे सामने, मैं तेरे सामने तुझको देखूं के प्यार करूं, तेरी जुल्फों से खेलूंगा मैं, तुझको बाहों में ले लूंगा मैं, दिल तो देते हैं आशिक सभी, जान भी तुझ पे दे दूंगा मैं, एक बार नहीं 100 बार कर ले, जी भर के तू मुझे प्यार कर ले, तेरा जादू चल गया जादूगर, टूट के मैं चूर हो गई, तेरी जिद से मजबूर हो गई, तू मेरे सामने, मैं तेरे सामने तुझको देखूं के प्यार करूं, तू मेरे सामने, मैं तेरे सामने तुझको देखूं के प्यार करूं.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, Anandjit. And you know,
Wonderful.
I felt like he was not Anandjit, he was the same Shah Rukh Khan of the 90s singing. The spirit of Shah Rukh Khan had come inside Anandjit.
Yeah, I think 90s made us all very foolish lovers. It was non-Instagrammable days. We were not so smart also.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks to Shah Rukh
Khan. Excellent singing. And so if a movie is being made, then apart from Desmond and me, as actors, so we are already booked. So we already also have the singer and the musician of the film. So he's also booked, right?
Yeah. So any last words to Anandjit, Victor, Rupa ma'am, Dr. Chavi before we end?
I think we should listen to Anandjit about his idea of Lucy 4, because as readers we all are waiting for that. So he mentioned your other book, but we really need to hear a little about the Lucy 4.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Lucy, I think I mentioned about this in one interview. So Lucy 3, the week it has ended, so it has opened up at least 6 to 10 possibilities from there. Now I am still thinking, and as you know, Lucy 3 is also being co-authored with Dr. Devashish Chakraborthy. Devashish and I jointly work on the Lucy project. So, and he has been a huge mentor come guide to me since a long time, since 2002. Both of us are thinking we will start our argumentative and interesting journey. I am looking forward to that. Generally the way it happens is that I will not stop myself to all of these possibilities. But I also don't want to immediately say, okay, well, Lucy 4 will go from here to here. That's generally not my way of writing or creating. I don't like to predefine myself too much. Well, there is a vision, there is a plot, there is something which is there, which is panning out. But as I said, that I like to break structures within disciplines also. And will like to be more fluid, as Ruma was mentioning. And I think one key point of being fluid is that we don't predefine where I am heading to. Lucy 4, jotting down definitely has started, but Devashish and I know where we will head on, where we will land up, where we will go. Well, the process is on. I can only say that I am a very process-oriented person. We will see. The process has started. The process of creation has started.
Yes. We're eagerly waiting for the fourth part. Any last words, Ruma ma'am?
I'd like to take this opportunity. I think I speak on behalf of everybody present here. Is that, in the middle of these very extenuating circumstances of the pandemic, as Victor said very correctly, we found our own niche. We're exploring our own niche. Anandajit is exploring it a little more than others. May he continue his explorations. May we also be inspired by his exploration to continue with our explorations. And may there be many such platforms where we will get together once again, inshallah, in the future, and discuss his very successful novels then.
Yes. Dr. Chavi?
I think I have known Anandajit from the past 2 years professionally also, and I see that his creativity spills over in all the very mundane subjects. He brings a lot of life, sustainability, everything, and he's carrying that forward. And I think that's what Lucy is. It's endless possibilities, and you're spreading those possibilities. I hope many more students also write like you. That's all I think. That's all.
Done. So I think so we are done. So Anandajit, thank you once again. Thank you everyone for joining for this book launch. It was a really fun conversation. And Anandajit, please smile a little bit, because we all are loving your book and everyone is praising you. So please smile.
Right. I'm grateful to each one of you, everyone, all the people, because I think each one of you write brilliantly. Ruma writes brilliantly. Chaviji writes brilliantly. Desmond, I have started following your work also. Siddharth, anyways, I have read Siddharth's work and commented also. Siddharth, I will like to sing more for Siddharth, because I think I'm better in that. And Victor, I am a huge fan of your sketches. I think Victor's sketches also pretty well. So as Ruma was mentioning that we all are flowers over here together. We will bloom together.
Yes, we will. Okay, so now when I'm going offline, we all should smile so I can take a screenshot, especially Anandajit. Okay? 3, 2, 1.